Good evening and welcome to episode 10, series 2 of Ox Sports Unleashed, live this Thursday night, 8 p.m. as always. Wherever you are, in your bedrooms, your bathrooms, your jacuzzis, your wet rooms, wherever you are, thank you for joining us on a packed programme tonight. Wow. There's quite a lot to get through. I think probably without me waffling on too much, we'll get cracking.
Yeah, coming up today, you'd be surprised that it's a packed programme really, with all the terrible weather from last weekend, but we have got some football highlights from Oxford City, the normal highlights and interview with Ross Jenkins. We've also got Rugby Union coming up. Unfortunately, the game, Chinner against Doncaster Knights was... it was night, to be honest, because the lights went out and the game didn't finish. We haven't yet heard from the RFU around that, so we've got some interviews from that game against Doncaster. We've got the regular Oxford City Stars results and all our fixtures, a midweek roundup, and no Lock, Lyon and Ryde.
No Lock, Lyon and Ryde.
But we will bring you everything we have from the last 7 days, and it's amazing actually, Darryl, that there was much football on at all, because last Saturday was blowing an absolute hoolie, as you'll find out now, because as per usual we're going to start the show with the highlights from Oxford City. They were in third round FA Trophy action, the last 64. They were up against Hadley from Southern League Division 1 Central. It was blowing a hoolie, and here are the highlights from that game.
Oxford City welcomed Hadley to the M Group Stadium in the FA Trophy third round on Saturday, right in the middle of Storm Darragh that was in the process of causing havoc across the county, not just on the roads but also the football schedules. In these conditions you almost feared they'll contribute towards a goal, and Cities were beneficiaries of just this in the first minute when this Charlie Taylor goal kick caught in the wind and fell to the feet of Zach McEachran, who did what he does best and put the ball in the back of the net from range. Hadley, however, weren't here to roll over and cause City problems throughout. This burst forwards from Isaac Stones forced a last-ditch block from Aaron Drew, the Hoops defender grateful to see the ball drop the right side of the post. Despite not being particularly at their best, the Hoops still posed their own danger in the first period. This layoff from Zach McEachran saw a rasping shot from Josh Ashby that saw the crossbar shook. Into the second period, and it became a totally different game with Hadley having the favourable conditions. The half was barely 5 minutes old when the visitors were gifted a golden opportunity to get level as Phil Croker brought down his man in the box. The young defender perhaps lucky not to see a second yellow card for this challenge, having been booked earlier in the first half. Despite Kai Mackenzie-Lyle's best efforts to put Luke Amalfa off, the Hadley man confidently sent the keeper the wrong way to put his side level, and perhaps reignite the fans' hopes of an upset against a side 2 divisions above them. It was certainly a superb performance from the away side, but with 15 minutes left there were signs of tiring amongst the Hadley ranks. City took advantage of this as Louis Walsh's superb touch past his man inside allowed him to pick out Corey Andrews in the centre, who had a simple finish to maybe win it for City in the final 10 minutes. As always seems to be the way in these situations, Hadley would create that last gasp chance to try and take the game to penalties. A ball into the box saw an eventual weave in and around the defence, but the eventual effort was weak and allowed a grateful Kai Mackenzie-Lyle to smother the ball to secure his side's passage into the next round of the FA Trophy.
Yeah, it was grim. It was a horrible game. I think obviously having the game is great. A lot of games have been called off today because of the weather. We were fortunate enough to have the game on, but the conditions were pretty poor. But there's no real excuses. We made it hard work. Fair play to Hadley. They gave us a real good game. They made us defend. They put it in our box. They worked their socks off as well. So big credit to them for the performance. They're there to make us work for the win. And I think the weather aside, I think it wasn't really our usual performance. I think we had a couple of boys off it today. But it's good learning, how to deal with these conditions. Some of the boys haven't played in sort of weather like this before, so great learning curve for everyone really. So it's important that we move on now. The wins are most important, and we move on now for Saturday.
Ross Jenkins there on that win against Hadley in the FA Trophy.
In the wind.
In the wind, yeah. You could tell for the first goal, the ball held up a little bit.
Just a tad.
Just leached onto it quite well, didn't he? So that was a good win for them. Now in the last 32, I believe. Is that 4 wins away from Wembley?
4 wins from Wembley.
4 wins from Wembley.
And a winnable game in the last 32 as well. We say that. They battled hard against Hadley, but away to AFC Tottenham Biggleswade in the last 32, and if they can get through that, of course, it's going to be very exciting, because we'll then be into the last 16 and they'll be up against possibly some National League sides. Just a testament really to those 3G pitches, isn't it? The only other game really locally that went ahead on Saturday was Whitney Town, which we'll come across a bit later on, the 3G pitches, because the wind and the rain doesn't really affect that. I think the only thing that affects the 3G is if you get snow on the ground, but we saw that at Buxton, of course, where they just swept it off into big piles, and
brilliant effort there.
Really good.
Well, there's no Lock, Line and Ryde this week, but we thought there were a couple of results we ought to bring to you. And a goal, because we had Ben Reardon on last week and never showed his classy goal. We thought we ought to show that this week. That's coming up. But instead of Lock, Line and Ryde, Woodsy and Kdog are in situ.
2 Ronnies, Tweedledum and Tweedledummer.
I would say Pinky and Perky. I don't know who's who.
Fair
But there were a couple of results, and I think they're coming up on our screens as we speak. There we go, Milton United. 7-1 victors at Berks County FC, and the scorers, as you can see there, Elkins with a couple, Nadine, Lee, Mills, Moss and Hobden. So
Sam Elkins, rolling back the years. He's a proper veteran, is Sam, and former son, not the former son, he's still the son of the son of former Wimbledon player Gary Elkins.
There you go.
He's not the former
You're always
son.
full of some information there. That's really good. You don't get this on Lock, Line and Ryde, don't you?
No,
Pinky
of course
and Perky.
not.
Yeah.
No, of course not.
So that's good. And there was also Wantage, who I believe now have gone 8 without defeat. They won 4-2. And
good luck reading those goal scorers.
We're not reading those goal scorers.
Own goal, Steve Robertson, Callum Crook and Liam Campbell.
Well done. Very good work there.
Squint in my eyes.
So that's, in effect, the results round up quite quickly there.
Although, as we said, there was one Senior League game, which we'll come up with a little tiny bit later on.
So Ben Reardon came in last week. We had the golden envelope, but Kieren decided to say it was a jiffy bag. Anyway, it was the new stadium was announced, the Witney Community Stadium, which was brilliant to have that as an exclusive on Oxsports Unleashed. So we thought it would only right to show a Ben Reardon goal at this point.
Absolutely.
Bit of a Hoddle-esque pass here, coming in, and a really good touch, first touch. And what a
absolutely fantastic. Glenn Hoddle poked it through to, I don't know, Gary Lineker. And I'm not suggesting that Ben Reardon's a goal hanger like Gary Lineker was, but a beautiful finish, wasn't it? Chipped over the goalkeeper.
I think, Ben, you've got to work on your celebrations, mate. That's quite poor. But anyway, good to see that with Ben. It was great to have him in last week. He spoke so well about the rise of Whitney Town, and we'll have their result a little bit later. So that takes us from the round ball to the oval ball, and the person sat next to me had a visit for Chinner.
Very impressive.
So yeah, go on. You carry on the story.
They've really. This is my first visit to Chinner this year. Unfortunately, it got truncated by a floodlight failure. The water and the wind got into the electrics, and nothing that anybody could do. We sat around for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but the electrician couldn't put 50p in the meter. It was no fault of anybody's. It was just the conditions were horrendous. The rugby posts were nearly at right angles. Honestly, it was so windy. And,
you didn't trip over a cable.
I nearly fell over. I now know why Dan struggles, because I must admit it's a bit dark around the back. But what I was really impressed with, since we were there last year when the floodlights also failed, I was really impressed with their new media centre. Actually, I was a bit worried that I was going to be perched up on the gantry in the 50-mile-an-hour winds, but no, they've got a brand new media centre, which is very similar, a smaller version, if you like, of the Lord's Media Centre, glass-fronted, The only slight drawback is the rain was horizontal onto the windows, and I could not see very much at all. They're going to invest, believe it or not, they're thinking of investing in some windscreen wipers, or I suggested maybe one of those things that you have on a goldfish bowl where you can sort of sponge it dry, because on a day like that last week it was quite difficult to see. But it was a terrific game of rugby given the conditions, and after the game, which as I said sadly was truncated with Chinner leading 18-13 against Doncaster, I caught up with Director of Rugby and former England star Nick Easter, who reflected on the game and obviously the disappointment of the floodlights failing.
Failure, and the decision's just been taken just a few moments ago that the game is going to be abandoned. The lights are back on in the press box, but there is a second pitch, or a third pitch here at Chinner, but not deemed fit for Championship rugby. So the referee's taken the decision to abandon the game with Chinner leading 18-13, a really intriguing match. But it's now in the hands of the RFU to see whether the result stands or whether it will need to be replayed. I'm joined actually by the Chinner Director of Rugby, Nick Easter. Nick, really disappointing, isn't it? Because it was an intriguing game, a really good battle in those conditions, and it's no good to anybody that the lights have gone out.
No, it's not. And, we'd like to finish that game. As you say, the conditions were horrendous. Beforehand, people would have put money on single-figure scores. But as you say, an intriguing game in terms of certainly the tactics, but also, the balls from both teams in terms of the close quarter stuff. And, it was 2 tries all as well, given, terrible conditions that they were. And, it's just one of those things. I think it's water in the circuit board. I think the fuse box was all right. We got the electrician out straight away because, obviously it affects everything that goes on at the club afterwards as well, because, we had an after party going on and we had disco and all that sort of stuff. But we also managed to get there on a different system. We managed to get the floodlights for pitch 3 on. With the order, the Wills want to complete the game. I don't think it would have been safe for the Sporers from the outset, but we've just checked the pitch out and it's not safe, full stop. The wind's picked up. Where the action's likely to take place, there's a lot of danger around the small bedfall and the scaffold and the floodlights being very close quartered. A few other, objects that could potentially, cause a lot of damage alongside some standing water. So we obviously called off I think the Wild Boys or the Outlaws were due to play there. We called off their game, and the referee deemed it's just definitely not fit for Championship rugby, which means after 67 minutes, we're 18-13, and we've yet to know what the decision is from the RFU. But you get those so close to the end of the game there. Left a rather sort of damp, sort of melancholy sort of feeling around the place, to be honest with you. Everyone's sort of a little flat, because I thought the supporters were great from both sides. Both teams were showing a lot of guts as well, and it was a proper old-fashioned slog. It really was, back into the sort of amateur days of rugby and, one pass rugby and everything, and not being able to see the number on your shirt after about 5 minutes. And it would have been good, whatever happened results-wise, to have to share a beer in a bar and sort of enjoy what is actually a one-off, given how rugby's improved in the world. But, more's the point, back to sort of the here and now, is you await the RFU decision, but we're hugely disappointed.
Yeah, hugely disappointing, but and it's no fault of anybody's. The weather conditions, as you say, horrendous, and the water's got in there. And ultimately, it was a big crowd here today, considering the conditions. And I guess that the safety of everybody in the ground is absolutely paramount. And although a massively disappointing decision, it's probably the right decision.
Yeah, on Thursday, I emailed the head of refs of the Championship around the safety, around the liabilities, around the safety, because it was forecast, and it was sort of 50-60 mile an hour driving rain, wind. Alongside the rain, but the wind was going to be a factor, so from a spectator point of view. The referee was fine from a playing point of view, and there wasn't much change in the weather conditions, so it wasn't like it was going to get considerably worse. And luckily we got the game played, but safety is the most important thing. Now, ultimately, it's just a rugby match.
Well, we're talking a little bit about the game, and a new face, an old face that was back in the lineup today, George Warboys, and he certainly set his stall out, didn't he? He's been pretty much involved in everything that was good about Chinnor today. Again, turning back the clock to last year, really.
Yeah, he slot. What did he slot? Like a conversion, 2 penalties in horrendous kicking conditions, not appalling kicking conditions. Scored a try in the second half. It'd be great to have him back, and he loves being a part of the club. I spoke to his old man, who said he absolutely loves it here, which is great, and he's with us now for the next month. And he fit in seamlessly. We haven't changed much from last year, so it wasn't like he was on a steep learning curve or everything. But it's just good for someone like him to get some rugby as well. He's been chomping at the bit, knocking on the door at Ealing. And Ealing are very impressed with him, but he just wasn't getting a rugby sort of 3 months into the season, so they sort of reached out, and it's not too far away. Proximity is easy. The fact that he knows the club well, he was part of our championship run last year, or sort of our not championship as the league, our National League One win. That he was a part of that, so it's good to have him back.
Yeah, he's a real character as well, and I know that the supporters were good to have him back. Finally, Nick, a quick word about these supporters, because they've come out today in absolutely horrific conditions. Over 1,000 by the looks of it. A fantastic crowd, and absolute testament to the Chinnor faith, isn't it? That they'll come out in all weathers and support you through thick and thin.
Brilliant. Look, this club has, I've been here 2 years now. 2 years to this weekend actually, and there's obviously been a lot of evolution and growth, for the sort of areas I focus on and advise on around the rugby side, and we can see that obviously culminating in our promotion last year. There's obviously, clearly for anyone who comes to the ground, there's been the ground last 2 years, there's been huge change around the ground. Obviously certain regulations had to be met, but also betterment in terms of making it a much more supporter friendly and a better day out, if you like. And thirdly, as you say, the Chinnor faithful, probably even in great swells of numbers, weren't the most raucous in times gone by, but the last 2 weeks, down at Cornish Barracks last week, I think we had about 250 people, 200 people come down, completely outshouted the opposition in the stand there. They were fantastic, and we were a bit concerned with the weather. They might put a few people off voting with their feet, but we had enough here, and they were brilliant. And again, the action was down this side with the wind, all the line-outs and everything was down this side, but this is where all the supporters lined up nice and close to the bar, but they were in full voice, and it's brilliant. And I'm getting to recognise most of the faces there as well and know them, and it's nice because you've got to build that connection. You've got to, with the supporters as well. I'm glad, hopefully they had a good day out. It's very, very disappointing we didn't get to the last minute, and the lights aren't on, obviously, as I say, to carry on serving in the bar and whatnot. But, I don't think they'll go away. I think they're really enjoying the journey we're on at the moment.
There's Nick Easter, the Director of Rugby at Chinnor, reflecting on what was a really encouraging performance, and so disappointing that the lights went out as they did, because it was shaping up, Darryl, to be a really exciting finish, because Chinnor were holding on. I'm not saying they were holding on desperately, because they were creating some good stuff themselves, but disappointing. We haven't yet heard whether the result stands. I heard on the grapevine from some people at the club that sometimes 60 minutes is the cut-off point, so it may be that it stands, but I rather think, because it was only 5 points in it, there might be, given what's happened to Chinnor recently with them being not allowed into the Prem Cup, I just hope that the RFU don't look at little Chinnor compared with the might of Doncaster and say, you know what, you can replay it, because rules are rules, and if it is a 60-minute cut-off, then it should stay like that. But we'll find out, and as soon as we do, we'll let you know. If it's during the week, we'll put it on our channels and let you know the result of that game. Chinnor in action again tomorrow evening in the Championship. They are away to Nottingham. And they name an unchanged squad for that game, and the wind is not going to be anywhere near as strong tomorrow, but obviously an away game on a Friday night. They had 250, they took 250 down to Cornwall with them last week, so absolutely incredible. Their supporter base is brilliant, and good luck to Chinnor. We will also have an interview a little bit later on with one of my favourite players, Zach McEachran is my favourite player for Oxford City football. I think George Warboys is going to be my favourite rugby player. In fact, we've got that now. Sorry, so we have.
Yeah,
so I was just saying that, because you've changed the Ben Reardon stuff around, we don't just throw it together. So George Warboys has rejoined the club on loan from Ealing Trailfinders. George Warboys, instrumental in Chinner's championship season last year in the National League 1, and he was absolutely delighted to be back. And Darryl and I met him last year as well. He's a cracking lad. And I had a chat to George after the game because he scored a lot of points and really did put on a scintillating performance.
George, welcome back. A little bit of a testy old game today, and obviously disappointing at the end there. But I know from speaking to you, we're all pretty chuffed to be back at Chinner.
Yeah, definitely. I've been at Ealing now, which is going really well. But I just needed to keep playing some more game time, and there was no better place that I could slot in quite quickly back here. And when I spoke to Minty earlier on in the week, he was very keen to have me, and it was just an opportunity to play. And I'm really happy to be here. The club has always looked after me very well, and I have great fond memories. And there's always a great group of boys which I get along with very well. And it's lovely to be back playing.
You didn't take too long to make your mark either, kicking a penalty after 7 minutes in really challenging conditions. Is that probably the toughest conditions you ever played in?
Yeah, win-wise, that is up there. You just sort of have to push it out there and hope it bends around, because if you try to do a normal kick, it's never going over. So you literally just got to stick it as wide as you can and hope the wind brings it around. But yeah, just about managed to get them over.
And you managed to get yourself a try as well on the board. So everything went pretty well from a personal perspective, but really disappointing, wasn't it? The way it finished, 12 minutes to go, really setting up to be an intriguing finish.
Yeah, it would have been good to finish the game. Like, it's always a weird one now where you come away feeling like the job hasn't quite been finished. But I think everything we did up to the last 68 minutes we're very happy with. I think if we finished the game off, it would have been much better, because right now it feels like we half done it. But as a group, we did what we needed to do, and that's all we can do for today.
So you're back here on a short-term loan, so at least a month. Obviously, Championship Rugby's really good standard of rugby, but Chinner are holding their own, aren't they? You know, they proved today against a really good, powerful Doncaster side that they can hold their own against the very best.
Yeah, they're an unbelievable team, and I think the fact everyone's been here for a little bit now, you've got a couple new additions, it's a tight group. It's tough to come and play here, and that's what we want to create. We want to create a place that's hostile, and it's hard for teams to come away and get points. And you know, we want to push on. Like, we want to be a team that is striving to be towards the top end of the championship. We don't want just to be another team that's gone up and then go back down again. And I think that's seen in everything, the way the club's run, all the influence of everyone outside of it, the club, the spirit, everyone coming to the games. Like, there's such a good positive vibe, and I think the more the merrier of that. And it's great to see rugby at this level being played like that.
Just looking ahead, next week, a Friday night game up at Nottingham in the Championship, 2 games to go before Christmas. Your away form is something that I know you'll want to address. Very unlucky last week at Cornish Pirates, but with the team that Nick Easter's put together here, there's no reason why you can't go to Nottingham next week and come back with all the points.
Well, I think every game you look at as an opportunity to win, and I think you just have to do everything within our own control, and hopefully the scoreboard takes care of itself. And we're in a place so hopefully that you go to that game very confident, have a good game today, that it's, we're pushing on. These games away now is that we're targeting them as places we can go and turn teams over.
Brilliant, George. Well done today. Great to see you back, and definitely made your mark, and good luck at Nottingham on Friday.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
George Warboys there, happy to be back
Always
at the
smiling.
ranks at Chinner, I think there. Back for a month, I believe.
At least.
Yeah. So we wish him all the best, and obviously all the best to Chinner for the rest of the season. They're doing well, they're holding their own, and playing some decent rugby, as Kieren has already alluded to. So good luck for the rest of the season, Chinner. Yeah.
Full match commentary, actually, just a little shameless plug. In the game 2 weeks' time, 21st against Bedford Blues at Kingsley Road, there's going to be full match commentary on BBC Sounds and BBC Radio Oxford.
Very good. That takes us nicely, as we normally do, from the oval ball to the puck with Oxford City Stars ice hockey. And they were in action last weekend. Unfortunately, Streatham Redhawks are a really good side. They are riding high in that league at the moment. So they did lose 10-1. It was slightly better than the game away where they lost 15-1. So they're getting better.
They got one.
They got one as well. Yeah. So Williams was the goal scorer there. And up and coming this week, Sunday at home at the Ox Pens, they take on Invicta Dynamos. What a great name that is, with a face-off of 6:15. So if you're a loose end, please do get down to the Ox Pens. It's well worth a visit. As I normally say, it's probably a good time to say if you've got any clips, anything you want to send us, we will use it on Ox Sports Unleashed because we need you. We need your clips. So there it is on the screen. Please send it to our email address of oxsportsunleashed@gmail.com. That's oxsportsunleashed@gmail.com. Anything you've got, any comical incidents, please send it to us because we really want to see it, especially for our Christmas edition next week. Special show next week. We do have a special guest showcasing another new sport for Ox Sports Unleashed. So we're looking forward to bringing that with you. So please join us again next week live at 8 o'clock on Thursday for our Christmas special.
Yeah, will we be dressed up again like we were last year?
Possibly.
Fab. Right, we're going to move on shortly to the midweek results, and there were some, which was good. The rain and the wind have relented. Before we do that, though, we did mention that we were going to just touch on Whitney Town's result from the weekend just gone, the only game in the Oxfordshire Senior League to take place on a 3G pitch, and Whitney Town won 4-1 at home to Oxford Irish Athletic. Jack Morton with a couple, McCabe Morgan Allen, son of Chris Allen, with one of them, and Kieren Bushnell got the other goal, and Dean Boyles replied for Oxford Irish, and that result, with all the other games off, actually put Whitney Town top of the table, albeit Oakley have played a couple of games less. There's a big game early in the new year. I think it's the 10th of January when Whitney Town play Oakley at home, and that will be a massive game. Oakley have only conceded 3 goals this season, so they're obviously a decent side, but that's coming up. So that's in the new year. This weekend, Whitney turn their attention to the Charity Cup, the Oxfordshire Charity Cup. They travel to Launton Sports. They're from the Senior League Premier Division, so that'll be a real test of their ability. Good luck to Ben, to Ashley, and the side when they travel up to Launton. Okay, midweek football. We did have some, as I say, we had a couple of Southern League games, both at the wrong end of the table. Kidlington and North Lee played. Kidlington were at home in their game against Leverstock Green, and as you can see there, unfortunately they fell to a 3-1 defeat in that game. And after the game, Colin Ryde caught up with the manager of Kidlington, Craig Mackay, who wasn't particularly happy with his side's performance, it has to be said.
No lack of effort of your size, but not the result you wanted, clearly.
No, disappointing night for us, really disappointing night for us. It's a game that we obviously massively wanted to win, but come unstuck. We didn't see that result, that performance coming. To be honest, thought we were poor all night. Really, we had probably started the game quite well for the first 5 minutes, but I just thought we were lethargic. If you look across the board, you know how many players come out with pass marks tonight. It just wasn't a. We just never got out. We were never at the races, which was really disappointing. So a really bad night for us.
Let's say it's nothing's won or lost at the stage of the season. Have you got time to turn it around?
Time will tell. Obviously, we didn't think coming into this game tonight on the back of us evolving the squad into a much better place that that would even be a consideration. But evidently we need to get points on the board and we need points quickly. But we worked that speed tonight. So it's a situation where we just need to look forward to Saturday. We need to make sure the points are on the board, and particularly over this period. There we go, Wednesday, Saturday, quite a lot over this next month or so. So a really difficult night for us tonight. Yeah.
Your thoughts on the next game? What will you change, do you think?
Yeah, I need to go away, look at it with the staff because, we're all bitterly disappointed with that tonight, and we need to pick them up really ahead of Saturday because it's another big game away at Northwood, a massive game that tonight was. So we're going to need to look at a few things.
Cheers, Craig. Thanks for your time, Mitchells.
That's Craig Mackay, the Kidlington manager, cutting a bit of a frustrated figure in that crucial bottom of the table clash against Leverstock Green. They fell to a 3-1 defeat. They are in relegation danger, as unfortunately, as we've said a few times, are Northley. They're really struggling at the bottom of the table this season. They entertained Berkhamsted on Tuesday evening, and as you can see, they fell to a 5-2 defeat. They are still rock bottom of the league. Just a timely reminder, really, though, although they are bottom, as are Kidlington struggling, get down to support these clubs because you are the lifeblood of non-league football, and if you're at a loose end at the weekend and you want to get a game to go and watch, it is still Southern League football. It's a good standard of football, and I know that both Northley and Kidlington, and of course Didcot Tame and Banbury elsewhere, would really appreciate your support. Given that Oxford United games quite often kick off at 12:30 now, there's always a chance you can just about squeeze into another game in the afternoon. So yeah, please do get down to support these local sides because otherwise we could lose them ultimately, and it's really, really important that we don't because Oxfordshire really punches above their weight, I think, in non-league football circles. We did have one of the goals from Northley, which was a penalty, so this was a bit of a consolation goal, really. In fact, it wasn't a penalty; it was a free kick came in.
Well, this is where the penalty
and
occurs,
and then the penalty is given away here. Oh, that's fair enough. I think that's a clear foul. Referee on the spot there. Yep, that's a fair enough foul. And this is the penalty at the sheep field end, I think that is. And that was a consolation goal only for Northley at Ensham Park. Hopefully in the second half of the season, Darryl, they can pick things up because they're a lovely club, really nice people. They're working really, really hard, as are the guys at Kidlington. So good luck to Northley and to Kidlington to get yourselves out of danger. They've done it before. Yeah. They've had the great escape before, so I'm
hopefully
sure
they can do it again. Our thanks actually to Colin Ryde and Patrick Lock going to Kidlington this week, and also producer Matt Bowden getting the goal for us there at Northley. So we do send these people out in the cold and rain to bring these things to you. Like I say, your clips are welcome, so please send it to us at oxsportsunleashed@gmail.com. Now, another exclusive, I feel, for Ox Sports Unleashed. Kieren, I'm going to go over to you, Kdog, because it was very much your baby, so over to you.
Yeah, back to the rugby really, and on Saturday at Chinner, the familiar face, if you like, of former British Lions head coach Ian McGeechan, Sir Ian McGeechan, was at the game, and he's often around these sort of local games. He used to be a local who used to live quite near to Chinner back in the day as well. He was the British Lions head coach, Scotland international, and he was at the game. And I caught up with Sir Ian before the game and talked to him a little bit about Chinner and also a little bit of a look ahead to the Six Nations and asking him how he thought England would get on. And as you'll find out, being as he's Scottish, I don't think he really cared too much about England.
Probably not.
But here's my chat with Sir Ian McGeechan.
Well, I think that is unique, and you don't know where the next talent comes from, or wherever they're living, to come through and put an England jersey on, and that's the way it should be. You hope we've got a lot of volunteers, people who support, and I go back to my own career. You know, I can put people's names to all the opportunities I had, and I wouldn't have been able to go forward without that sort of support, and it's still so important for youngsters coming through today, and they've got the local heroes in the rugby club, but they're part of something which I think is ultimately the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and I guess as the former Lions coach, you're obviously still incredibly interested in up and coming players and having a look at the next generation, if you like, and it inspires generations, doesn't it? Playing rugby at this level, seeing the good quality of rugby that we're going to see today, and that that inspiration to help maybe another youngster make that breakthrough and, as I say, maybe go on to play for England and the Lions?
It is, and it's the impact those people have that introduced the game initially and then support the players as they develop through the age groups. And, without that, you don't have a pathway. And it is about a pathway of development that has to go all the way through. So they've got their heroes locally, but most importantly, they've got all that support. And if you've got it, and you have a club to come to, then more and more you become part of it, which you need all around the country. And same happening up in Yorkshire, that it's so important. It's the rugby clubs and their area which actually impacts so much on their education and learning the sport. I was a schoolmaster for 22 years, so I've always been slightly biased about being able to do that and have that development process.
It would be remiss of me not to talk about England and the forthcoming Six Nations in the new year. It's going to be probably more open than it has been for many years. England obviously on a bit of a transition at the moment. But what are your thoughts about the Six Nations coming up in the new year in terms of who do you think is going to sort of shine and sort of lead the way in that competition?
I think it'll be an interesting one, just because France looked really good in these autumn internationals. Ireland are a good side now and always challenging. Scotland played very well against Australia. And it's when you've got 3 home games or 2 home games, it makes a difference in the championship endpoints as well. So all in all, I think it's going to be a very fascinating championship. I'm looking forward to it, I must admit. England could have gone to France and they need a good start.
Yeah, and I guess with England, they are going through a bit of a transition phase, but I guess it's important that the coach, Steve Borthwick, sticks with what he's got, because there's some real talent out there, isn't there? And it's almost a case of rebuilding for the future for England.
I mean, they've been together a while now, so, there's talent there, and I think they're shaping a game they want to play. And it's a matter of just having the opportunity to keep repeating that and getting the good feeling of when you're playing well, you just get more and more used to and confident in the game that you want to play.
Okay, thank you. Just finally, we'll talk briefly again about this game. It's going to be a little bit of a lottery today, but Tuna's hurrying record over the last couple of seasons has been pretty formidable. Obviously, Doncaster are in really good form themselves. It's going to be a game probably dictated by the conditions today.
Yeah, as you said, it will be a bit of a lottery just with the wind and the rain, but it's which team adapts in the end to just the conditions and the key moment.
Brilliant. Thank you, Siri, and thank you very much for joining me, and enjoy your afternoon, and keep moving right.
That's former British Lions head coach Sir Ian McGeechan talking to me before the China game, and he's a man who still is extremely passionate about his rugby, and what a lovely man he was as well. And quite funny that he sort of slightly poo-pooed my suggestion that England are an emerging side, and he was saying that he thinks Scotland, fair play, are going to be quite strong in the Six Nations, and of course France are going to be pretty strong as well. So thank you very much to Sir Ian McGeechan, our first night that we've interviewed on this show.
It's a first for Ox Sports Unleashed, and we have instructed Kieren to use his tripod so he's not quite in the face of our guests.
They've got long arms.
But it was a close-up. Was it a close-up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was very good.
In fairness, my car was off the road.
That's acceptable then. So from that, we've showcased boxing on the show before. We've had Brad Axe in. I am a part of the Axe Gang. I'm still proud to be part of the Axe Gang. And he was in action at the weekend at York Hall against Jensen Irvine. And we've got some footage here for you now. And Jensen's under the pump a little bit here.
She like the
as you can tell there, Braddock's winning there pretty much hands down. So well done to Brad. We are following you still. We're looking forward to getting you into the studio in the new year, hopefully. And let's hope the continuing success carries on into 2025 and beyond. But exciting footage, that.
Absolutely.
Relentless.
Absolutely. While on the subject of boxing, just a big congratulations also to Oxford boxer Jordan Flynn, who has returned from a fairly frustrating 2024. He's been riddled with a few injuries, but he came back on the weekend and got a good points victory under his belt. And he is on his X channel saying he's looking forward to 2025. And good luck to Jordan. And hopefully we've got some exciting news to come from that camp as well in the new year.
Yeah, absolutely. That takes us to our normal results service. Our thanks to Dan Smith, Blake Bint and Kieren for putting this all together. And we've got all the local sports results from last weekend.
There weren't many. There you go. That last slide was so interesting. We thought we'd leave it up there for a minute for you. So.
Just to make sure you got those results.
Absolutely. Well, Whitney District game in midweek, so you don't see that very often.
Yeah,
so
that's
Ducklington
true.
winning at Morton Rangers in the week. So that's good. Yeah, Morton Rangers in the Whitney District League have floodlights and a decent little ground. So not quite in our patch. Otherwise, we'd probably look to maybe go over and see one of their games. But they're little bit over the other side of the Gloucestershire border. Just before we move on to the league tables, just a quick reminder. So this show is watchable back, so we know that it's not always watched live because there's lots of other things on. There's Spurs on the telly, for example.
Who would want to watch that?
So if you are watching this live, or even if you're watching it back, tell your friends about the show, because what we have noticed is, although we don't get a huge amount of live viewers, we do get every week pretty much well over 100 views, which is fantastic. We're really proud of that. But the more that you spread the word about what we're doing, the better, because ideally we want to get those subscriptions up, as we've said a few times, and if we can get it up to a decent level, A, that will introduce more viewers, and B, if we can get it to 1,000, which is a long way off, then we can start thinking about monetising the show and trying to put a little bit of what we raise back into grassroots sport. We might even be able to give Dan a pay rise, possibly. Maybe you give him 10p extra an hour. Right, so you said all the results there, so now we're going to go on to the tables. Not a huge amount of change this week, of course, with all the games off during the week, but we will have a look. Oxford United, of course, lost 2-0 at QPR on Wednesday evening, and they are getting precariously close now to the bottom three, which I guess is where it was kind of expected, but just 4 wins, 18 points from 19 games, Pompey just below them, and then Cardiff, Plymouth and Hull City's currently in the relegation zone. So United leapfrogged there by Queen's Park Rangers after Wednesday's results. Into the Vanarama National League. Obviously no league action this week. It was all FA Trophy, so City stay where they were, 18th place. Handily placed outside that bottom 4 now, thankfully. They are starting to pick up. It was a real battle on Saturday in the trophy. They're back in action this weekend with a humongous trip to Darlington. Kdog will be setting off about 8 o'clock in the morning for that one. If you want to listen to that, that's also live on BBC Sounds as well. Just
Another plug again.
Another plug for BBC Sounds. I know that the current producer, Patrick's, decided to bottle it, and he's not a proper supporter, is he? So, Patrick, listen in. You listen in, you can hear what's going on. That's Darlington versus Oxford City at the weekend. Banbury United's game against Kettering on Saturday, unsurprisingly, fell victim to the weather. I don't know how wet it was this time, but it was possibly the wind as well.
Squelchy.
So again, hardly any games played at all in the Premier Division Central, so Banbury remaining in 16th place with 23 points from their 18 games so far. But as I've said before, it's a very tight table, and just a couple of wins would propel them back towards those playoff places. Into Division 1 Central, again, no games at the weekend, so Tame United stay in 6th place. Just outside the playoffs, Hadley, who City beat on Saturday, just above them in the playoff places. At the other end of the table, unfortunately, Northley and Kidlington now propping up the table. Northley just that one solitary victory from their 18 games. They are starting to be cast adrift, unfortunately. And that real 6-pointer, to coin a cliche, Kidlington losing to Leverstock Green, who leapfrogged Kidlington above them. So Kidlington dropping to second from bottom. Division 1 South, again, no game for Didcot Town this weekend, just gone because of the bad weather. So again, they stay in 15th place with 22 points from their 17 games. Into the Southern Division of the National Women's League, and Oxford United in 4th place, 22 points from 12 games. Ipswich Town are starting to open up a little bit of a gap with a game in hand, still unbeaten. In the Division 1 Southwest region of the National League, Abingdon United is still in 9th place, 8 points from their 11 games so far. And finally, from tables, Southern Regional Women's Football League Premier Division, again unchanged. Oxford City and Ascot locked together on 22 points at the top of the table, but Ascot do have those 2 games in hand over the Hoops.
Very good, and that takes us on to the upcoming football fixtures for Saturday the 14th of December. Oxford United at the Castad against Sheffield Wednesday, a 3 p.m. kick-off this week.
Crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. They all are these days, aren't they?
Yeah.
National League North, as Kieren alluded to, a big trip for Oxford City up to Darlington at the Blackwell Meadows, a 3 p.m. kick-off there as well. into the Southern League Premier Central, and Banbury United on their travels to the new Bucks Head Stadium against AFC Telford United. And in Division 1 South, Didcot Town are on their way to Bristol Manor Farm at the creek.
So let's hope they've got their paddle with
They're
them.
probably going up the creek there, aren't they? Hopefully with a paddle, as you say. And moving on to the Southern League Division 1 Central, all our teams are away. Tame at Barton Rovers, Northley at Leighton Town, and Kidlington Northwood. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff. The Northley and Tame are 3 p.m. kickoffs. Into the Women's FA Cup round 3, Oxford United host Bristol Rovers at the M Group Stadium. That's a 1 p.m. kickoff. And in the Women's National League Division 1 Southwest, Abingdon United playing Moneyfields. Love that. 2 p.m. kickoff at the John Jenkins Stadium. And again, Southern League Division 1 Central, Oxford City on their travels to AFC Porchester. 2 p.m. kickoff on Sunday the 15th of December. There you go, a big roundup of all the tables and fixtures and the results. Where else do you get that? Here on Oxsports Unleashed, of course. So, a big thank you to all our guests that took part tonight with loads of interviews from Chinner Rugby, which was great to see. Some really good footage again. Hope you've enjoyed watching tonight. Have you got a highlight tonight?
I think it's got to be speaking to George Warboys, because he is a superstar, and I think he's going to be somebody. He's very young. He's going to be somebody that I think is going to really make a name for himself in the fullness of time. And as I said, it was an unbelievably good game of rugby in those conditions. It was just, I mean, you've seen them last year, how good they are, how quick the rugby is. It was terrific. George Warboys was kicking a goal with that wind swirling into the wind and clearing the posts, clearing the bar, and getting some conversions and some penalties. Absolutely terrific. So yeah, that was my highlight this week. That's probably the only reason that's my highlight, is because it was one of the only sporting fixtures that was on.
That's so true, actually.
Really enjoyable.
We should mention James Coles, because we did interview him earlier on in this series. He's in South Africa at the moment with England Lions. They had a bit of a task playing South Africa A. They lost by 284 runs. Colesy, unfortunately, only 7-4 with a bat and only taking 1 wicket. But there's still part of that tour to go, so hopefully he can put himself in the window a little bit more before he returns to the UK before Christmas. So we wish James Coles the very best of luck. That's pretty much it for this week.
Speaking of Christmas.
Christmas.
Next week.
Next week. Yeah, we're using the C word again, aren't we? It is our Christmas special next week. There may be a repeat of Mr. and Mr. As Kdog and Woodsy.
We
that
see
was
your bold spot again.
Quite amusing. So we probably will show you that again. Please join us live at 8 p.m. As always, and again, thank you for watching us tonight. The week that Johnny Cater, amazing servant for Oxfordshire cricket, decided to hang his gloves up and his boots and his bat on national counties cricket. Played for 14 years, 10 as captain.
Great servant.
He has taken over the captaincy at his club, Great Brickhill, so he's obviously having his attention to club cricket this year, but we wish Johnny all the very best, and thank you for your service to Oxfordshire cricket in the past.
Yeah, absolutely, well said.
Yeah, and so that's it. Please join us again next Thursday live at 8 p.m. Don't forget to send us your clips. Subscribe to the channel, where we'll unleash some more Ox Sports. It's good night from me.
See ya.